Have you ever looked around at your life and thought, why don't I have many friends anymore? Not in a bitter or lonely kind of way, but in a curious, soul-searching way. It's like one day, you just woke up and realized the people you used to laugh with, talk to, hang out with, they don't feel like your people anymore. And here's the wild part. Nothing dramatic even happened. No big fallouts, just distance. If that resonates with you, you're not broken. You're not weird. You might just be going through something far deeper than you realize. This is what happens when you start waking up spiritually. Welcome to the journey of spiritual awakening, a path that's as beautiful as it is confusing, and at times, heartbreakingly isolating. In today's video, we're diving into something many people never talk about openly: why spiritual awakening can leave you feeling like you've lost your tribe, and why that's actually a sign that you're on the right path. Let's start with one of the biggest early signs. One of the first things you might notice during a spiritual awakening is a shift in your relationships. Suddenly, you find yourself uninterested in the same old conversations. Gossip? Small talk? Surface-level drama? It starts to feel like noise. You begin craving deeper, more meaningful connections. You want truth, depth, honesty, and most of all, authenticity. But not everyone around you is on that same path. And when you're vibrating at a different frequency than the people around you, things naturally begin to drift. At first, this can feel lonely. You might even feel like an alien in your own life. You're standing in a room full of people you used to connect with, and somehow, you feel completely alone. But here's the truth. You're not being abandoned. You're evolving. You're not becoming antisocial. You're becoming selective with your time, your energy, and your soul. This isn't a new phenomenon. For centuries, spiritual seekers have felt this exact pull. From monks in remote monasteries to yogis in Himalayan caves, solitude has long been a sacred space for transformation. Think about it. Monks remove themselves from society, not because they hate people, but because they're creating space to connect with something higher. In silence, they hear what the noise of the world drowns out. In solitude, they meet their true selves. And you don't need to live in a monastery to experience this. Maybe you've noticed you've started spending more time alone, not out of sadness, but because solitude has become your sanctuary. It's where you hear your inner voice. It's where clarity visits you. And it's where healing begins. Let's be honest, when you're going through this, it can feel confusing. Why don't I enjoy hanging out like I used to? Why does everyone seem different? You're not losing interest in life. You're gaining clarity on what truly matters. You've probably caught yourself skipping events you used to enjoy, saying no to that party invite, passing on the group chat, and maybe you felt guilty or even judged for it. But this is the price of transformation. The old world doesn't fit you anymore because you've outgrown it. And guess what? That's not a loss. That's evolution. Think of a snake shedding its skin. It doesn't mourn the old layer. It doesn't try to squeeze back into it. It simply lets it go because it no longer fits. Spiritual awakening is the same. You're peeling off layers of your identity, your past, your conditioning. And yeah, it can feel raw. You might feel exposed or misunderstood. But it's in this shedding that your real self starts to emerge. Yes, your circle may shrink, but the connections that remain, or the ones that are yet to come, will be deeper, richer, more aligned with your truth. This isn't about loneliness, it's about authenticity. As your soul awakens, your sensitivity skyrockets. It's like someone turned up the volume on life. Emotions hit harder. Music feels deeper. The world seems louder, brighter, more intense. You're not just hearing words, You're feeling energy. You're not just watching the news. You're experiencing the pain, the joy, the fear. And sometimes it's overwhelming. This kind of sensitivity can feel like a blessing and a burden. One moment, you're overwhelmed by beauty. The next, you're emotionally drained from a seemingly simple interaction. But this is more than just being sensitive. It's a sign that your consciousness is expanding. Suddenly, you notice things you used to miss: the texture of a leaf, the softness of a sound, the way someone's words don't match their energy. You're picking up on the subtleties, the nuances, the unspoken. This kind of awareness can make the world feel almost too much sometimes. Crowded spaces might start to drain you. You might feel overstimulated by noise or chaos. That's your spirit asking for space, quiet, peace. Which is why many on this journey start turning to meditation. Meditation becomes less of a trendy practice and more of a lifeline. It's where you return to center, where the intensity of the world softens, where your soul gets to exhale. Through meditation, you're not just relaxing, you're reconnecting with yourself, with the universe, with the stillness you've been craving. You learn to observe without reacting, to feel without drowning, to listen, not to the noise outside, but to the truth within. Here's where things get really real. At some point on your spiritual journey, you'll wake up and realize that you're done pretending. You're done playing roles, following scripts, and nodding along just to keep the peace. You're tired of the mask, and you want the truth. This isn't just about calling out lies around you. It's about facing the lies within you, the ones you've believed because they kept you safe or made you fit in. And now, they feel suffocating. You start peeling back layers, asking questions you never dared to before. Is this really me? Do I even believe this? Why am I chasing this goal? The truth might shake you, but it will also set you free. When you prioritize truth over approval, you're going to ruffle feathers. People who were comfortable with the old version of you might not know how to handle the new one. That's okay. You're not here to make everyone comfortable. You're here to be real. And realness sometimes makes people uncomfortable, especially when they're not ready to face their own reflections. But this isn't about confrontation. It's about alignment. You're learning to live in a way that matches your soul, not society's checklist. You're not the first to walk this road. Back in the 13th century, a philosopher named Thomas Aquinas did exactly what you're doing now. He questioned everything. At a time when blind faith ruled, Aquinas dared to blend reason with spirituality. He believed that truth wasn't just found in sacred texts. It could also be uncovered through logic, reflection, and questioning. His journey was messy, uncomfortable, sometimes controversial, but it was deeply authentic. Like you, Aquinas wasn't content with surface-level answers. He needed to know, to feel truth deep in his bones. And in doing so, he gave himself, and the world, a blueprint for aligning inner truth with outer action. Once you start living in truth, you can't go back. You can't unsee what you've seen. You can't unknow what you've come to know. Yes, that makes life harder in some ways. You might lose friends. You might disappoint people. But what you gain is priceless. A sense of peace. A sense of integrity. A sense that you're living on your own terms, finally. Your relationships may become fewer, but they'll be deeper. Your choices may become bolder, but they'll feel right. Your voice may shake, but it will be yours. Here's a moment you'll never forget. One day, you'll wake up and think, wait, what am I doing with my life? It's not a midlife crisis. It's not a random slump. It's your soul asking to be heard. The job, the goals, the hustle. Things that once felt fulfilling now feel empty. It's not that you're lazy or lost. It's that you've outgrown the life you built while you were asleep. Now that you're awake, your soul wants more. This is where the restlessness creeps in. It's that gnawing sense that something is missing, even if, on paper, you have everything. You might look at your career and think, "This doesn't light me up," or stare at your accomplishments and feel no joy. You're not ungrateful. You're evolving. This ache isn't something to numb or escape. It's a divine invitation to pivot, to explore, to rediscover what you truly want from this life. This is the moment where your path crosses with existentialist thought, a powerful philosophy that says life has no inherent meaning unless you give it one. It's not a sad thought. It's liberating. You get to create your own meaning. You get to decide what matters. You become the artist, not just the observer of your life. It's scary. There's no roadmap, but it's also exhilarating. Because for the first time, you're not following someone else's plan. You're crafting your own. Now, let's be clear. A new sense of purpose doesn't always mean you have to quit your job or move to the mountains. Sometimes, it's about small but powerful shifts. Choosing work that feels meaningful, spending time with people who inspire you, or finally saying yes to something you've always wanted to try. The point is, you stop settling. You begin living intentionally, aligned with your values and passions, not out of fear or habit. And now, we arrive at the final, and maybe most beautiful, sign of spiritual awakening, the expansion of consciousness and compassion. This is when your heart stretches in ways you didn't think were possible. You begin to feel the world, not just observe it, not just understand it, but feel it deeply. You cry more easily. You forgive more quickly. You care more sincerely. And your love? It stops being conditional. You start to understand how interconnected everything is, how your thoughts ripple into the world, how your actions echo in ways you can't always see. You begin to live with a sense of sacred responsibility, not out of guilt, but out of love. You want to help, heal, uplift. You become more patient, more empathetic, more human. Compassion stops being something you feel and becomes something you live. You start treating people with more kindness. You show up with more presence. You find yourself recycling more, judging less, listening better, loving deeper. You're no longer trying to fix the world. You're learning to meet it with love. And in doing so, you realize this is what awakening is really about. Not just knowing more, but being more. If you've made it this far in your journey, or even just begun it, know this. You're not broken for feeling different. You're not strange for wanting depth. You're not lost. You're waking up. Yes, it can be lonely. Yes, it can be intense. But it's also the most real, raw, and beautiful path you'll ever walk. Stay true, stay curious, stay kind. And remember, the people who are meant to walk with you on this path, they'll find you. Your tribe is coming, and they'll speak your soul's language fluently. If this message spoke to you, go ahead and hit that like button. And don't forget to subscribe for more deep and soulful content. Thanks for being here.